limits, their dog gets out, runs across the street in our yard, we shoot their dog, that's going to create a problem because there's going to be a boundary area. And again, the 911, it's going to slow down response time.
Ma'am, I understand what you're saying, but my point is this is about a zoning change. And whether the dog is coming from a $500,000 home or he's coming from a mobile home across the street, it's still the same jurisdiction, the same problem.
But it creates a legal problem if you're zoning that part to be city limits. But right across the street, it is not.
It is already city limits. This is a zoning change.
The street is city limits.
No.
Not my property on the other side. I am Johnson County.
I understand that, ma'am. I'm talking about.
So is she.
But I'm not talking about rezoning your property. We're talking about rezoning the 50 acres that's already in the city limits. It's already.
I understand, but my house is right across the street, and so
you
are all
want us to
these
move the
homes. And what we're saying is that's going to create a lot of problems because there is a boundary problem. You have 55 acres that's in the middle of Johnson County that you're saying is Venus city limits.
And I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, so what you want us to do is not rezone it all, leave it agriculture and just leave it open grazing land.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, that is very difficult because now we're telling the property owner that he can't do anything but graze cattle on that land. And this is a free country. If he wants to sell it and develop it, he has the right.
That's true, but we have legislation to prevent chaos, and that's going to cause chaos.
Okay. And the chaos is that we cannot legislate against economic class, as Mr. Clopton was saying. We can say how we want the city to develop because of zoning. We can develop the city commercial over here, light commercial over here, residential over here, apartments.
That's true, but you're pulling land that's not in city limits into city limits. And when it starts messing up with the response time for the dispatch, then that's going to cause people to die, and that's going to cause lawsuits. Like I said the last meeting, my father-in-law died in my front yard. It took 30 minutes for 911 to respond. Why is it that across the street they're going to get Venus Police Department just fine? And then, by the way, the dispatch is going to have to look on a map and look at the address and say, okay, is this city limits or is this Johnson County? Do I send them to Johnson County or do I send our police? That's going to cause a major issue.
And we have the same issues up in, I don't know, Duncanville, Cedar Hill, right at their boundary lines. Do we send, you know, this one or that one? They have to check the boundaries everywhere, man. I mean, I understand your premise, but we cannot just not do anything because we're going to grow, and that's just a fact of life. I mean, we can't keep from growing because people are moving out here constantly, and we can't just say, well, it may cause a conflict between boundaries. You know, I mean, obviously, and this is not what this meeting is about, but eventually, y'all will be taken into the city limits. Y'all will have police department protection, city police department protection. Y'all have city water, sewer. At some point, y'all will be included in the city limits. Right now, the city's too small, but it ain't gonna be that way much longer. Probably 4 or 5 years, and we're going to be able to be what they call a home rule city instead of type A general law, and home rule can annex in on their own accord. Type A general law has to wait till the homeowner asks to be annexed in. It's just state law.
I understand that, but as a chamber member, we need to bring in more businesses before we bring in more families, because that's what's going to make the families stay. This town is losing more and more money to Midlothian and Alvarado and Mansfield because we don't have the businesses to subsidize the town. We need pharmacy, we don't even have an MD doctor in this town for our aging residents. And for you to sit there and want to bring in 300 homes when we don't even, this town doesn't even have what it needs to support itself, it's not thinking clearly and it's not using common sense. And the chamber, Jeannie and I have been working extremely hard to try and bring in businesses and to bring up Venus's business community. And this is going to totally set us back probably another 10 years.
I appreciate your opinion, but we're running short of time. Does anybody else have anything before Josh? Ask Josh to have his points of view, counterpoints of view. Yes, ma'am.
Can I say something quickly? Megan Walker, 404 Continent Trail. Just the question about the dogs, what's the difference if the dog comes from a trailer or if it comes from a brick home? You're not going to put 300 brick homes out there. You're not going to put 300 brick homes. So if that were a smaller development, fewer trailers, there'd be fewer dogs. It's the proportion. 300 homes in one area that can come in so quickly is going to kill the schools. Somebody said at the last meeting, what about the schools? And I believe you, sir, said that that's what the bond election in May is for. I was at a parent meeting not long ago. They're only adding 3 classrooms to the elementary school. So you're going to move 300 families in, and those 3 new classrooms are going to accommodate that.
But in the last meeting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Brooks mentioned, well, they're not starting out putting 300 homes out there. They're going to start out with like 50. They're going to grow with the city. I mean, they're going to have permits to bring them in. We're not going to let them just come in 1 week and put 300 homes.
Right. He said, I believe what he said, I wasn't here, I watched it on YouTube, was that there'd be about 75 or so the first year, another 100 the next year, and then another 100 the next year, something like that over a couple of years, bring in 300 homes. But if we pass this bond election in May to add 3 classrooms and a library to the elementary school, and then in a year we've got 100 new families, and then another year from them we've got 100 new families, they're not going to pass another bond election the next year. Taxpayers won't pass that.
And I agree, but also I think Mr. Brooks said nothing would happen for the first year. They're going to have to put the infrastructure in, the water, the sewer, the roads.
Right, but so then after 1 year, they're going to pass another bond election for those more kids.
Well, let Mr. Brooks answer some of these comments and questions. Josh?
Wait, hold on a second, Mr. Brooks. Is it Ms. Davies? Davy? Okay. I just want to get some clarification on what you talked about. I understand bringing business in. That's not a perfect spot for business right there. I understand that. Okay. And I know you're opposed to it. Is there a limit? Because I know other people have said 100 homes or whatever. That's fine. Are you saying no to any at all, or is there a limit on what? I'm just trying to make notes so I can keep track of who's saying what.
I mean, there's 150 or say 75.
You know,
But I mean, they have to be able to make money or they're just not going to do it. They're developers.
well, I'd rather them not do it at all.
You'd rather nobody do nothing at all.
No, I think if the property was sold to individuals and homes were built on it, or they brought in their own trailers, that, I'm fine with that. I don't want a trailer, I'm opposed to a trailer park, a mobile home park, period.
I just want to get clarification for my notes so I can keep track of
Okay.
who's saying what. Thank you.
Josh?
Thank you for everyone's comments. Some of the comments we can clear up. I did bring a few people to speak before me to clarify some of these issues. First, I want to talk about, last time we talked about the water connection between the city of Mount Peak and the city of Venus. And we talked about water flow, and Randy is going to speak a little bit about that water connection that we're going to pay for. So, Randy.
I'm Randy Kirk, not his work spot, and I see you down there. You and April, I know several people here. Back in 2014, November 11th, our board issued a motion to approve Mr. Brooks's Windy Meadows Mobile Home Park, contingent upon a few things. One would be an interconnection with the city of Venus, if that could be negotiated and done properly. to facilitate fire flow. The other things were, as long as he had his applications appropriately signed, and he complied with the laws of the state of Texas, water code, and the policies of Mountain Creek Special Utility District, that we could supply that. Our engineer said that it would not be detrimental to our system. Yes. The problem was fire flow. And with the interconnect with the city of Venus, where this water could flow either way, in case of a fire, if our pressure went down, automatically that valve would come on and we would take pressure from the city of Venus. In like manner, it would reciprocate to the city of Venus. So, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to touch on that.
No, I think.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Our board is in agreement with it as long as all the paperwork's done.
It meets all the requirements, yes, sir.
Sorry?
As long as it meets all the requirements.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And real quick, we talked about 911 response, and I wanted the chief to kind of touch on that as far as extra mobile homes. Or,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're dispatched through Johnson County 911, so anytime somebody calls 911, it goes to Johnson County Dispatch. And I understand that there may be some confusion on where our officers go in some of the outlying ETJ areas, but if the community is built, we'll be responding out there quite a bit, so I'm sure our officers will know. In my perspective, this is what I told Josh. We're trying to build a real professional police department, one that everybody in the community is proud of, and really work with those community members. And I certainly know people in manufactured homes. A lot of good people live in manufactured homes, and we'll be happy to work with them too. I don't think that it would create a negative police ability to deal with those people in there or increase our crime rate. What our goal is as a police agency is to work with the community to make sure it's a good place to live, and we will deal with those problems. One of the problems with the Ghost Ridge area up there is it's outside of our city, and some of the community policing efforts that we've been trying to do, we can't do because it's not in our city limits. But if this is approved, then we'll address those members just like we've done everywhere else, and hopefully we'll continue to grow as a police department and be able to service those areas as well. So that's kind of my perspective on it.
And I will be brief also. I'm trying to speak quickly. A lot of the concerns that you guys had, we pretty much touched on the last meeting. And I'll just kind of touch on them here because I wrote them down. The lady had spoke about sidewalks, a bunch of kids walking up and down the street. She said there were several hundred. Where myself and my investor, we are planning on redoing County Road 214 up until the property ends. So down to the stop sign at the middle school with whatever the city ordinances say that we have to do it with. And we're also going to put in sidewalks. So that's going to hopefully eliminate that concern. So when you have a nicely built street with sidewalks where the kids can walk back and forth to the schools, hopefully that eliminates that concern.
Just like around the sidewalk. We've been out there so long, we had our trees, we put our trees in the right distance of easement from the road, but the road is a lot bigger now than it was when we moved here 25 years ago. It's a lot wider. So, do you know if we're gonna end up cutting all our trees?
I don't know that.
Distance from the road or how that?
Well, I don't know that, but I think how that may play out is once we start the engineering, and that becomes a concern, that may be something we can talk about at that point.
I'm talking, they're all in front of my house.
Okay.
Big trees.
One thing real quick on the road, you say you're gonna go from 109 up to the edge of the property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would that be the south edge of the property or the farthest distance from 109?
The furthest edge of the property.
Up to the bridge?
Up.
or not to the-
No. You're gonna fix the road to our house and it's gonna drop.
And then it's gonna
So it's
stop.
gonna go up to the brick house?
Right, we're going to pay for that portion of that. Yeah.
It's gonna go to our house.
Pretty much the brick house. Okay. Sewage, just like the mayor was saying, your sewage won't be affected. I believe we'll be on city sewer. So your sewages, I mean, how many of you live within city limits?
None of us, well, okay.
Come on.
So your sewers won't be affected. We will be on city sewer. It's going to be probably the top of the line sewer, the newest sewer line that could possibly be built. I'm pretty sure that, and the city code's requirements are very clear when it comes to that. And I gave a bunch of you the city codes for manufactured housing. You'll pass it along. The water, like the mayor said, as far as your water levels dropping, we will not be on a well. We will be on mountain peak water. So we don't have to worry about being on wells. Our water's...
Are you going to close up the well then?
I don't know what's going to happen with the well. If the well is providing your water, then I don't know what's going to happen.
It's tied into ours,
Okay.
but it's not the same well. That's
Okay.
something else you have to look at. What if kids fall in the well?
I'm sure it will be closed up under state regulations. There's very strict state regulations when it comes to well water, and I mean, I'm sure Randy probably knows a little bit about that too, but there's all kinds of strict regulations. And
Well, I
yes,
was just wondering, because I've watched him, because I live right across the street, and I've seen him go over there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys didn't even know that there was a well there. And that's a very serious issue. I mean, Mayor, you didn't even know there was a well there.
I had no idea.
Well, and in that case, I'm pretty sure our engineers and the city will work together.
Joe, was that y'all's well back in the day?
Yeah, it's a 6-inch casing, about 165 foot deep.
It wouldn't, I mean, Caesar's not here yet, but I'm sure he would know exactly what it would take to
Yeah, the state would require you to cap it.
cap it off, you know, securely, and, you know, all that will have to be done by state mandates and city codes and ordinances. But we're not gonna pollute your well, it already is.
Next, all right, here we go. The lady had talked about lot sizes. This lady. You had mentioned lot sizes, and that you said that the houses would be basically right next to each other. The neighborhood over here, the brick homes, Patriot Estates. How large are their lots? Do any of you know?
The houses are right next to one another.
Right next to each
because I
other.
looked at them.
They will be closer than our mobile homes will be. Their lots are standard 3,500 square feet. If you look in the ordinance, our requirements are 4,500 square feet per lot. That means our lot will be larger than theirs. So that puts our homes further away from each other. That gives every individual that lives in the community a large front and backyard, side yard, and there are actual requirements for that in the city ordinance. So they will not be close together, stacked together like your normal mobile home park that you would drive in. The existing mobile home parks were built a long time ago, and those parks are ran by investors who live in California. Probably none of them live in your backyard.
Can you tell me how many square feet in an acre?
Ma'am?
How many square feet in an acre?
36,650.
43,000.
43,000. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I should have known that. Very close to it. Okay. So to take away that concern, this park will not look like a mobile home park, a traditional mobile home park with single wide, side by side. We're pushing in as many people as possible. No, that is not the case. This park will not look like that. We do have 4,500 square feet, and that is large for a nice sized property. We talked about, the lady here was concerned about the schools. The schools, you know, I talked to the superintendent for the district, and we talked about growing with the city of Venus. And just like the mayor said, we're not going to come in here, even the first year, even the first 2 years possibly, and bring in 300 homes at one time. If we even get to 300 homes, that is not our goal. Is to get to a certain number. Our goal is just to bring affordable housing to the community where people can live, have low cost of living, and build a very beautiful place for people to come and live in brand new mobile homes. So we are not going to inundate the city with 300 homes in less than 24 months. This is gonna be a 5, 6, 10-year process where we're gonna be bringing in homes, maybe 10 at a time. I mean, we're talking maybe bringing in, well, I mean, the way we're looking at it, we may have an approval or a certificate of occupancy, and we start bringing in homes, we might bring in 5 the first 3 months. And then we might bring in, so this is a gradual thing that it does grow with the city. It's not something that we're gonna come in and inundate, and just really just, you know, take up the city's capacity for schooling. Another thing that someone brought up, I think I hit them all. And one thing I want to say to you guys, as far as the city is concerned, and I brought this picture last time of the city of Mansfield, that if you look right here, there are $300,000, $400,000, and $500,000 homes. And you know, you saw this last time. And they back directly up into these mobile home parks. And the mobile home parks were there before the homes were. I know I've been in Mansfield South since I was 2. So the mobile homes parks were there before these houses came in. Didn't affect value. The problem with this is there are no homes like this out where we're at. There's mobile homes out where we're at.
Actually, mine's modular, it has
And-
to be like a house.
And modular
And
homes.
and there's also some other houses.
And there are a couple scattered out amongst out there. But,
I got that other.
and one last thing, the one thing you don't think about is when we're coming to the neighborhood and we're building mobile homes, is that you have a friend out where you're at. You have an investor that you can talk to. You have someone that's ready to help you with your needs and not just the needs of our mobile home park. We are local. I'm here in Mansfield. The investor is here in Fort Worth. So there's no one, you can always get a hold of someone that's in charge, that you have concerns for, and that can make changes. And I'm like you. I've lived in mobile homes, just left one here off of Pheasant and Venus, and you know, I think it's an absolutely beautiful thing for the city of Venus to bring in affordable housing and allow for the zoning change and let us come in and build an absolutely beautiful product.
Thank you. The council have any questions before we move on? Ms. Scott?
I have a question.
President.
Josh, does Legacy Homes own that land?
Ma'am?
Does Legacy Homes own that land?
No, ma'am.
So you're talking about putting a mobile home park in, and yet you don't own the land yet?
Well, if we don't get the zoning, there's no point of owning the land. So if we don't want to buy land that we can't put homes on, we just be farmers then.
So do you have it under contract?
There's
With a
contingency. Contingency of getting this approval, then we will be purchasing the property.
That's all I have.
Will you have anything?
300 homes at 4,500 square feet. You've got 19 acres left. What's going to be on that 19 acres? You're going to bring in more than 300 homes?
Well, the rest of the, you know, you're not going to just put homes there. There's going to be roads and streets, and
We talked about a park.
there's parks there. Yeah, they're going to put a park, a swimming pool. My original plan, and this is just a scale of the original plan. I had planned on just leaving the total, a couple of acres up front here. We're going to start in the back. We're going to start building in the back of the property. We had some other people here that were concerned about fences and privacy, but they have the ordinance. I talked to them; they're good with that. But yeah, we're going to have parks and swimming pools. We're hopefully we'll have a little portion here for commercial needs. If someone wanted to come in and do some type of commercial thing. So hopefully we'll leave all of this open, but a lot of the land will, when we have to build places for boats and recreational vehicles to park, for truck drivers to come in and park their trucks and things like that. So there will be, there's a lot of the land that just won't come.
The roads will eat up.
Yeah, the roads will eat up probably about 10 or 15 acres.
Yeah.
So Josh, on that, hold that up again.
Okay.
So, mobile homes?
Those are, yeah, this is what they call a concept plan. So,
It says one mobile home, or is that one here and one here and one here and one here?
yeah, the concept, when this was drawn up 2 years ago, was very simple. So that would be one mobile home here, one there, and it would be back of each other. But
Is that based on our ordinances of 4,500?
no, this is no, this isn't based on the ordinance of 4,500 square
So
feet.
it would be further.
Totally different. It's going to be a totally different concept plan. The gentleman at Bannister drew this up for me based on the survey and what our plans were 2.5 years ago.
Because the looks of this, you said they're not gonna be lined up.
Right.
But this shows lined up.
And again, this is what we call a concept. A concept means that this is just the preliminary phase of what we're trying to do, and this was done 2 years ago. So,
But even if the zoning request is granted, you will still have to come back with a plat approval,
That's right.
engineering plans. I mean, there would be so much more to approve before, anything would be, as far as a design would ever be
Right.
approved.
and the ordinances you have state all of that. The city council basically is in charge of everything that we do. And you guys also, so you can come and vote on things, I guess, but they are in charge of anything that happens with the mobile home park as far as that's concerned.
All right, thank you very much. I'm gonna close out this public hearing at,
James?
yes.
Utilities again. I know we discussed utilities. My main concern is utilities.
Okay.
Where do we stand with Mountain Peak? Where do we stand with our city?
Okay.
I think you came in a little late, Randy from Mountain Peak was here, I think he's already read. And he told us about, they did a flow test, that 4-inch line was sufficient to handle this development. All they needed was to have a interconnecting, with us for fire protection. That if there was a fire and their flow dropped, because they're fighting fires in the valley, automatically come on and they can get water from us, which, we'll be able to meter and they will pay for it. Plus, if the house has backflows or if we had an issue, we can get water from them. It's a two-way system.
And that is not a cost to the city of Venus.
No.
We are paying for that.
They would pay for that two-way valve system.
All right, how about the wastewater?
The wastewater, it's going to go.
It's still gonna go to Venus, Venus to outsource Logan?
Yes, they will use our sewer system, Venus sewer.
And how about the road? I know we talked about the road being, y'all was gonna redo the road.
Yeah, we are going to redo the County Road 214 from the stop sign up until the end of the property.
Stop sign is by the school?
By the school, yes. Yeah, it'll be redone with sidewalks.
So you're gonna redo the road from the stop sign at 109 to approximately 108 feet.
To the end of our property.
Even with mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna fix a spot.
He was the one that was going.
Well, it's a spot, but the spot belongs to the city, and, I think we're being pretty generous fixing that, but, it'll be brand new.
It'll be good for that spot.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm gonna close this public hearing out and, we're gonna try to go right into the next public hearing. It's a discussion to hear from the public on the city's abandonment of undeveloped streets and alleys platted as Walnut, Oak, Cherry, and 9th Street, south of 8th Street, and between FM 157 and Bulldog Drive. Mr. Clopton, I think I'll let you start off again.
Again, my name is John Benson, property reside at 810 south of FM 157. I rise in opposition to this abandonment. This right here, as of speaking as a former retired civil engineer, great licensed professional engineer, that has got the best developed area in the county. It's better than we had in Garland and Dallas. And that these streets that you're wanting to abandon, like the little short Cherry Street, Oak Street goes across. Now, the people that are not familiar with it, there's a lot, it looks like a field when you turn going southbound, going towards the post office. That field, Oak Street, it's platted back in the original, way back in the 20s and 30s, or it's way back there. It's not the original one. But the street is 60 feet of right of way. 60 feet of right of way. Oak Street goes on through, and then 9th Street is the street that runs parallel to 8th Street, which parts of it's called County Road 109, and part of it is called 8th Street. That one, 9th Street, matter of fact, Mr. Russell is using that street right away as private property, as a private right. If you go to the courthouse like I've done, you'll find he's using a public street, 60 feet of right of way. All right, Walnut Street, where Walnut Street comes out and dead ends into Bulldog Drive or 8th Street, the plat that the engineer many, many years ago, before I was born, designed it to be 60 feet across that field. And what that does, that is a beautiful, as an engineer, former engineer speaking, that's a beautiful layout. That it gives us circulation. We need that to circulate around where the school buildings are. We need that street, we need that Oak Street, we need that 9th Street, we need the Walnut, where we can get circulation if we had an emergency at the primary school or down at the administration. These streets they're platted, and they just hadn't been, the city fathers here, the mothers had not seen fit to develop them or hadn't had the money. And where the post office is right in the middle of this. And what happened when it was built, the city approved that, allowed some of that to be abandoned. Now, along with this, can you believe it's got 20-foot platted alleys? You just don't see that very much. It's got 20-foot alleys across there. Have you all seen the plat?
I have.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful piece of engineering work. And I really, really would hate to see you abandon that. We need that circulation in there. For example, if we had the Oak Street and we had an emergency, we could circulate. You know where the government housing is there. You could circulate around. And if it's an emergency, we don't have circulation now down there very good. And they plan to open up the street in front between the primary school and the administration building and open that up into FM 157. But you really wouldn't need to do that if we've already got it platted, 9th Street, and where Mr. Russell has it, he's using it as his private drive. That should be a public street. We'd have circulation all through there. In case of a fire or emergency. And now to further abandon all of this, is what I read this to say, is terrible from an engineering standpoint. It's called thoroughfares. We need that for thoroughfares to get the circulation, plus what else? The development. That would be beautiful for the higher and best use of that land. But just leave it as a field, like it is right now, and like we abandoned, I think would be not appropriate engineering action to take. And it's already platted. But if the owners found I'm not sure who all the owners are, but I believe it's Mr. Russell, but I'm not positive. But if they found a buyer or developer that wants to build on that, the council here at that time, like they did on postcode bank, for example, would you really want to, say, an apartment complex there on that field and block the school off? We need the circulation. If we had a bus accident or something, it would be nice to have another way to get down in there rather than just the Main Street. And therefore, Mr. Mayor and Council, I would run in opposition to that. And I would be glad to submit the ones that haven't seen the plat. It's a beautiful plat. When you say 60 feet right on the street, 20 feet out, that's what you're giving up. It's already there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, I didn't know there was a public hearing. I was coming for the city council meeting. I'm interested in talking about the property at Patriot Estates in front where there's a proposed liquor store going in.
Okay, well,
Has that been
if
discussed?
you'd like to discuss that during the public comment section of the regular meeting, it'll be a little
That's what I'm
after
on.
7.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to talk about the abandonment of the streets, proposed abandonment? Well, we'll give it a couple more minutes, just make sure, give it at least a full 5 minutes. Does council have any questions or comments?
Did we already abandon it?
We did, but it was not, Cass said we needed a public hearing to make it official.
That's why we, it's been about probably 3 months ago, in the meeting. And some before, some was. Yeah, I remember correctly.
I don't know if that has been,
But if them streets belong to the city, they do belong to the city.
yes. Look way back a little bit.
Yeah. I'll have to get back with you. There's other things.
Yeah, there are other things over there.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Is that the plat?
this is a copy of my deed,
Oh, okay.
the original deed, and it says that I own, including all streets to High School.
This is your deed?
This is my deed, yes,
So,
sir.
who sold it to you?
that before, did
Yes, sir.
I think we did.
Yeah.
And who you get this from?
I bought it from them in Owen Young.
Oh, you know?
Yeah.
And at that time, he had ownership of all the streets and alleys?
Right. And it is certified as good the county, so it says that I bought the 13 acres, including all streets and alleys.
Well, good. I mean, I'm sure I still have my copy, I just forgot about this. Thank you. Well, if there's no further comment on public hearing on the proposed abandonment of the streets and alleyways, I'm gonna close this public hearing out at 6:56. And we will start the